He comes silently and unannounced, yet all how strange, all recognize him. At once, the population rushed towards him as if propelled by some irresistible force. It surrounds, throngs, and presses around. It follows him silently and with a smile of boundless compassion upon his lips. He crosses the dense crowd and moves softly on. Children strew flowers along his path and sing to him Hosanna. It is he, it is himself, they say to each other. It must be he, it can be none other but he. He pauses at the portal of the old cathedral just as a wee white coffin is carried in with tears and great lamentations. In the coffin lies the body of a fair child, 7 years old. The little corpse lies buried in flowers. He will raise the child to life, confidently shouts the crowd. The procession halts, and the little coffin is gently lowered at his feet. Divine compassion beams forth from his eyes, and as he looks at the child, his lips are heard to whisper once more, Talitha Kumi, and straightway the damsel arose. The child rises in her coffin. Hello and welcome back to my channel, philosophical and musical and cultural channel. And today I would like to discuss a kind of text excerpt from one great novel. You know, we had celebrated the anniversary of Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky just a week ago or something about it, and 200 years was this celebration, and the legend of Grand Inquisitor and the brothers Karamazov, the last great novel by Dostoevsky. So, the brothers Karamazov, also translated the Karamazov's brother, is the last novel, as I have already said, and he spent nearly 2 years, something about 2 years, to write this novel, and it was published as a serial in the Russian Messenger from January 1879 to November 1880, and Dostoevsky died after this last publication, died less than 4 months after this publication. So this novel is very autobiographical, and I would like to apply the hermeneutical analysis, maybe some kind of analysis by Friedrich Schleiermacher. As you know, he explored the nature of texts, of understanding in relation not just the problem of deciphering sacred text, but also to all human text and poetry and literature and so on and so forth, all human text and modes of communication. And according to Schleiermacher, interpretation includes two methods or two ways of this interpretation: grammatical and so-called psychological, or in Russian we can say divinatory, but I know that in English it's not in use. So the first method is associated with verbatim reading into the structure of the text, grammatical understanding, clarification of meaning at the grammatical level. And the second one presupposes an artistic flair and the sense of the author and his style, time, atmosphere. So it's a kind of maybe romantic interpretation in some way. That's why I chose one of the most ideologically rich and saturated with various associative connections this chapter from the novel by Dostoevsky, and it's a very complicated and very dense chapter, to tell the truth. The legend of the Great Inquisitor. First of all, it should be noted that this chapter, although it's like an insert story by Ivan Karamazov, it has a very important semantic and cultural and artistic function. Since in the words of Alosha Karamazov, Ivan is the grave, is something absolutely mysterious and closed, and he is one of the most mysterious and closed heroes of the novel. It's so. And this chapter, in fact, reveals to the reader the personality of Ivan. And Ivan is the main personage, main figure of this novel. Maybe something in connection with the person of Dostoevsky himself. A terrible commotion rages among them. The populace shouts and loudly weeps when suddenly before the cathedral door appears the Cardinal Grand Inquisitor himself. He pauses before the crowd and observes. He has seen all. He has witnessed the placing of the little coffin at his feet, the calling back to life, and now his dark green face has grown still darker, his bushy grey eyebrows nearly meet, and his sunken eye flashes with sinister light. Its personality of Ivan in the concentrated form, this legend. To tell the truth, as for the formal and objective prerequisites, the first thing I went to pay attention to is how Ivan himself calls his student essay, poem. Although he admits that he has never composed even 2 poems in his life, but he invented this poem and remembered it, and he cites this poem very clearly and very carefully. So it was something very important for him, for himself. And indirectly, here you can think about the implicit romanticism in his personality. His penchant for artistic manifestation of his personality. If we compare with the description of Ivan, which Dostoevsky was given at the beginning of the book, and then a noticeable contrast is obtained. By the way, Ivan as a student is a very handsome young man. He started earning early by teaching and journalistic activities, and the latter was a clear success, very successful, and he earned a lot. These articles, they say, which he composed, created, were always so curiously and piquantly composed that they quickly went into action. Ivan showed remarkable practical ability, by the way, to manage his own abilities, his own creature functions, so to say. The Grand Inquisitor and the legend are also concepts related to the romantic spirit. So if we recall German Romanticism, for example, then one of the most important aesthetic criteria of this period of time for the German poets of both the Jena and Heidelberg circles was the medieval time and medieval age, and these fairy tales. The Enlightenment paradigm, with its cult of rationality and progress, was opposed by the world medieval age and ballads and legends and folklore. For example, we can remember The Magic Horn of the Boy by Arnim and Brentano. But here too the philosophical ideas of utilitarianism are used which arose by the time Dostoevsky wrote the novel, play an important role. The Grand Inquisitor proceeds from peculiar ethical principles based on pity and compassion for the majority of human beings, which are weak and vicious. So he disbelieves in humanity, in mankind. Anything new that thou would now proclaim would have to be regarded as an attempt to interfere with that freedom of choice, as it would come as a new and a miraculous revelation superseding the old revelation of 1500 years ago, when thou didst so repeatedly tell the people, the truth shall make you free. Behold then thy free people now, adds the old man with somber irony. Yea, it has cost us dearly, he continues, sternly looking at his victim. But we have at last accomplished your task, and in the name for 15 long centuries we had to toil and suffer owing to that freedom. But now we have prevailed, and our work is done, and well and strongly it is done. Art thou as well aware of what awaits thee in the morning? Tomorrow I will condemn and burn thee on the stake as the most wicked of all the heretics. And that same people who today were kissing the feet, tomorrow at one bend of my finger will rush to add fuel to the funeral pile. And to achieve the relative happiness of the majority, it's necessary to be guided by utilitarian principles in the spirit of Jeremy Bentham. What is moral is what serves for the good of the majority. At the same time, it's necessary to apply violent measures to individuals, including to the mysterious smiling interlocutors of the Inquisitor. Interlocutor is Christ, whom the Inquisitor intends to burn as heretic. Here you can see another important reference to the ideological structure of the philosophy by Friedrich Nietzsche, of course, and his intention to recognize the Christianity and the figure of Christ as some kind of anti-hero. His criticism of Christianity was based on the opposition of the heroic and the humble, and the latter is the essence of Christianity. Christ, according to Nietzsche, is an anti-hero, rather closer to the hero of the same Dostoevsky's personage, Prince Myshkin, in the Idiot. So, Nietzsche reproaches Christians with the fact that their teaching is an exaggerated, and they live like everyone else, absolutely in isolation from the ideas of Christianity they preach. Dostoevsky here, on the one hand, continues Nietzsche's thought, of course, about nihilism, which erodes all values and literally tells his prisoner about the death of the Christian God. Death of God is the concept of Nietzsche, of course. We let us say that we obey you and rule in your name, and we will deceive them, means all humanity, yeah? Because we will not let you into us anymore. So, on the other hand, as Alosha later literally shouted, your poem is praise to Jesus, to Christ, because for Dostoevsky, God is here, although put out of brackets, but indestructible. For Dostoevsky, the freedom of the human person, is connected with Christianity, of course, and is the opposite and obsession with an idea even in the name of humanity. So we have to say something about Nikolai Fedorov. And we can feel the influence of one of the most significant Russian philosopher, thinkers, one of the most important Russian thinkers, Nikolai Fyodorov, who believed that after the Copernican revolution, humanity had opened a cosmic perspective and could be resurrected both physically and spiritually, in concrete, literally. Moreover, a certain synthesis of both individualism and universal bothship is carried out here, and of course it's a utopia, of course. And apparently Dostoevsky didn't believe in it, absolutely, I think. Okay, thank you for your attention. I hope it was at least useful for somebody, and see you in the next video. All good to you. Bye.